Do I?
Well, you seem to be out of the shot. Esteban seems to be bigger in the shot.
I am. I'm
So
quite
this is-
large. I'm
that's
looming
the,
large.
That's the YouTube one, isn't it?
This is YouTube, yes. And Facebook, is that gone live?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You feel free to go ahead and press the button when you want. And I'm gonna mute this.
No, you just want to make sure that everything's set.
Everything is set.
Otherwise, that's gone.
Everything's set.
I'm
Yep,
gonna-
that one's good.
I'm just gonna.
YouTube's on.
I'm just gonna-
YouTube's on.
Facebook's gonna be on.
Facebook's gonna be on. We have one viewer watching us right now on YouTube. Welcome.
G'day, g'day.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, Russell, go ahead and
Okay.
press play for Facebook. And we are good for Facebook. Good afternoon and welcome everybody in Facebook land and YouTube land to our Southside Uniting Church Mission and Outreach podcast. I'm Reverend Esteban Lievano and I am the Minister for Outreach.
I'm Reverend Jock Dunbar, Minister for New Missions.
And we are here to discuss basically what's happening in our world right now in the space of mission and outreach. And in particular, for the next couple of weeks, we're focusing in on this big question about worship services. But before we do anything else, we're just going to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands in which we gather, the Turrbal and Jagera people, and their elders past, present, and emerging. We continue to pray for God's work of reconciliation among all his people. And we are here in our beautiful worship center at Urunga, where Jock is the community minister. Tell us a little bit about this place, mate.
About the Urunga space.
Yeah.
Well, we're sitting in. I was just talking to Russ about this just before. From what I can gather, this is. It was previously to a couple of different buildings, a hall and the worship space. And then I think it was about 20 years ago, they completely refurbished, renovated everything, the whole site, maintaining the original hall, but basically incorporating all of the building space. So this is your main foyer entrance. So behind us is your main entrance out to Kadumba Street, which few people use because you've got the car park on the other side, and most people use the car park entrance as the main entrance. You know, it's almost like when you have, you know, at your home, you've got your front door, and then you've got the door that your friends come in.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise known as the tradies. The
Trade entrance.
The trade entrance, yeah.
That's
trade
it.
store or something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so so it's a lovely facility here.
And we have our offices here.
We do have our offices here. So just behind camera, that's where our offices are.
Yeah.
And we're all huddled in there, socially distanced, and having a good time.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you for that introduction to what this space is. And it's something we're going to be doing in the coming weeks and months is we're going to be talking a little bit more about our worship centers, and not just that, but also the different facilities that we've got and the ways in which we want to really have the mission of God go out from this place and do a bunch of different things. Because, you know, the mission of God cannot be stuck to these four walls. Although looking into the worship space in there are like 15 walls. Like it's a very creative design, isn't it? It's not exactly
It's not square.
It's not a square church.
No.
It's not a square church for squares. It is a very unique design space.
Yeah, it's like a wide space.
Yeah.
The worship space. In there.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. And this is where we had our launch service, of course, where
Yep.
we managed to get 250 people
Yes.
in here.
And all through this space here
That's
as well.
right.
So we're in the foyer. So yep.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
It was good.
Yeah, it was a
excellent.
really good day.
It feels like a world away.
Yeah, I know, because now we can't even, even sit next to each other.
That's right.
Like we were struggling to fit in the same frame. That's why he's all the way over there and
That's
I'm all the
right.
way over here, because we couldn't even fit in the same frame. Facebook people, I can't really see what you can see, but we can't really tell that we're in the same frame. So we're just trying to be careful that we're not too far away, but we're also not too close.
Hopefully we're this way and we're not this way.
Yes. And we have our wonderful assistant, Russell. Say hi, Russell.
Hi, Russell.
I love it. He's getting it. He's on the ball. He's on the ball. And he's on Facebook receiving your comments. And I am here with my laptop on YouTube. So if you want to chat with us, you can. We'd love to hear from you. So, Jock, last week we started the conversation regarding coming back to services, and then what happened?
Yeah. So we decided Southside, we decided to postpone because, as some of you will know, here in Brisbane, we had a couple of people who had been going about the community for over a week with COVID, so we were just about ready. Like, we're a couple of days away for getting back together for in-person services, and we thought, well, based on a recommendation from our from what's called the Synod, which is like the state body, they had some strong advice,
Very strong advice.
to just hold off. We took that advice. We thought
Yeah.
that was wise to hold off. So unfortunately, we didn't quite get there, but a good decision, a wise decision to do that. But I know that some places did get back together. Some smaller congregations got back together, and that's great. Hopefully, fingers crossed, or we can, it won't turn out to be anything hopefully too serious. That's of course, that's what we all want, isn't it? So
yeah, and we're watching not just the space here in Queensland, but also Victoria, New South Wales, and we're aware of what's happening further afield across Australia. The last thing we want is to come back too early and have the worst happen around us. And so as a ministry team, we're being cautious. I don't think we're being overly cautious.
No.
We are planning to come back later towards the end of the month, all things being well.
Yeah.
But yes, we are thinking about that one. Yes.
They have noticed the sign behind you.
Yes, they have. I'm using that as a bit of a light filter because we've got a lot of light here in this spot. So yes. Do you want to just talk about that real quick? I know nothing about what's it called? Studio dance class.
AFL is has resumed, and Stefan has just handballed me that topic. So thanks.
I was going to say that's something else I know nothing about. Please don't bring up the.
You seem to know quite a lot about it. Anyway.
No.
We do have a dance group that uses our whole facility just up here, again behind camera, and they're continuing to use the space very well and safely as well. So so this is them. Happy to. Should we turn it?
Yeah,
up
let's turn it up. We'll just watch that light filter just to make sure that we're not affecting our light balance too much.
It has a.
You just have to just get your body in the way a little bit.
It has an angelic glow.
Oh, look at that.
All right, maybe we just move it forward a little bit more. So you got that? Can we sort of see that a little bit there? There we go. So the studio, dance and arts, and there's a phone number here. I won't read out the phone number.
If you want to find out more, go on their website. You can find out more.
Yeah, you really can.
Beautiful.
Anyway.
Yes. So.
This is what we do, naming the elephants and the A-frames in the room. That's what we do here.
True, it is true.
We should make that like our slogan. Hey.
Our slogan is serving Christ and the people of Southern Brisbane missionally. Okay. But that's okay. We can add elephants in the room.
Naming the elephants.
Naming the elephants in the room. Yes. Maybe a different kind of show you're thinking of. That's right. Don't snuff your tea. That's okay. People are not paid for that.
No, they don't.
People haven't paid anyway.
And your microphones haven't been paid for that. That's not what. This grill thing is not a sneeze guard.
That is right. No. Do not get tea on my microphone. My goodness. Yeah.
Right,
anyway.
So where are we at? What are we doing? We're talking about?
I don't know. You were talking.
AFL.
Oh my.
So AFL. No, I won't talk.
We're in trouble now.
No, I won't go. It's a sad story to me. I'm a Crows supporter. It's a sad story.
I'm a Broncos supporter. It's worse.
Broncos.
It's worse for me. Goodness me. Oh, terrible. Anyway.
Well, we're going for 10 straight losses tonight. Go the Crows.
Yeah, we've been there. That's in our rearview mirror.
It's sad. It's sad.
And you know that speaks to another component of what all this is about, which is the social gathering.
Yeah.
So you might have seen in the news there were issues at the Knights game because people were not socially gathering appropriately on the hill up in the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And so the NRL has come along and has said that they're going to curb their numbers by 1,000.
How many were they getting there in the first place?
Well, yeah, that is a good question. I
1,500?
don't know. But it was alarming because it was nationally broadcast.
Oh, was it?
And so that's good for us. It's good for us to be aware that there is a national consciousness about gatherings and people doing these things right.
Yeah. Actually, something I wanted to say earlier. I just want to anyone from Victoria, particularly Melbourne, in the wider Melbourne region.
Yes.
Just want to. You're on our mind.
Yeah. And in our prayers.
Yeah. We've got friends who are living down there. Some family as well. Yeah. Just where our hearts are with you, our thoughts are with you. Prayers.
Absolutely.
During this next 6 weeks, as you settle in for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Hoping that it just is 6 weeks and then that's it.
Mini huts.
Yeah.
What's the mini huts?
What's that one? Mini huts. I'm not familiar with that. Is that it there?
You need to go and get on YouTube a lot more. You do mini huts.
Okay.
Okay, we're giving mini huts to Melbourne.
Okay, I've heard the mini violin.
Oh, how old are you?
I'm only a little bit older than you think. Oh,
goodness me! Shots fired.
Bang bang. Counter strike.
So we are very conscious of what's happening interstate and aware of that. So our prayers are definitely with all of you in those horrible situations, and may God continue to protect you during these next 6 weeks as things get tighter and more difficult. Now, last week we were talking about worship services having that potential for mission, and in particular our people at Southside wrestling with this weird formula that the ministry team came up with. Now, a couple of people have commented to me, wait a minute, what are you doing? Can you unpack that for us a little bit? So do you want to unpack that a little bit, and then I'll feed in?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of
what's the plan?
The format.
What's the plan?
Well, the plan is really for the next 3 months, up until the end of October, Southside Uniting Church is using this time of coming back to in-person services to trial. Firstly, a couple of different new styles of worship, but also new times. So we're trying to do those two things, and we're trying to do it whilst being COVID safe. So we're having to limit numbers. We're having to redeploy resources, and part of that redeployment of resources has to do with people's time and energy, in particular the ministry team. So we're not wanting to duplicate heavily across all 4 sites where we currently have worship services at the same time in the same way. So we're wanting to vary that up and get a bit of diversity. So that understanding that it takes time to adjust to these things, but also as a ministry team, church council, church leadership, we don't know what's going to work yet. We don't know what the appetite is in terms of different styles or different times, all that kind of thing. So that's what this is about. We know that the appetite for coming back to in-person services is there, as you would expect. So that's great. In the meantime, we're just going to feel our way through. What does that look like?
That's right. So some logistical points. Number 1, there will be 4 services every week. So there will be one side of we've kind of split up our territory. I think that's the first time I described it that way. Is that an appropriate term, do you think? Our region, shall we say?
Maybe region.
Region. Very good, very good. Does that make David Fenner the king? Because technically a region has a regent.
Oh, goodness me.
Sorry, language geek. So we're going to split up our region into east and west, and we kind of have if we have one service on one side, we'll have 2 on the other, and then the other service will be the contemporary service. So people will be able to continue to maintain that online community engagement. And then the following week, we flip that around. So if we have one service on our western half of our region, we'll have 2 services on the other side. And that way, people are having an opportunity to go and attend these different services. Jock, do you want to tell them how many people can actually attend our services altogether?
It's about 150.
150. So we have this excellent opportunity, because we have the multi-sites, to be able to house 150 on any given Sunday, whereas a lot of our larger churches that would probably be counting on 150, 200. At the moment, they're still limited by the government regulations. The thing for us is we don't want to put people into their little corners and say, if you've always visited Yeronga, or if you've always attended Holland Park, that's the only church that you go to once a fortnight. Instead, what we're saying is, hey, there is space for 150 people across all of our churches. Please, if you really want to come, and if you feel that it is safe to do so, we'd love to see you at one of our services.
Yeah. So the temptation would be to think, I've always gone to, we're in Yeronga, so I've always gone to Yeronga, and that's been my church that I go to. And you, as you look at the timetable, you'll see that there's a worship service here in Yeronga every fortnight. So you might think, I only have to go to church every fortnight. But what we want to do is help people transition out of that way of thinking during this time of not a time of trial. I did that in something. What was that? Where was I? I think I was there was a prayer. I was doing a prayer and I called it a time of trial.
Yes, that's right, you did.
I called it a time of trial. Deliver us from this time of trial.
That's right.
Anyway, this trial period experiment. So you're thinking, where would you like to go? Where can you go? And as I said, and that number, 150 people, is an approximate number to fit across 3 services. So the 3 in-person services, and the 4th service that you mentioned before, Stefan, is the online service.
That's right, and that has no limit.
That has no limit.
As many people as want to come, we can have thousands go online and join in our online services. You'd be most welcome to. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what we're telling you now, we mentioned last week as well, but it's just really to reiterate these things.
Yes.
And also to bump into our topic for today, which is about it's touching on that issue of we've been in isolation, lockdown, and now we're about to come back into in-person worship services. I think we're going to have no, I'm just looking behind camera. We may be into.
We had some sudden guests.
We may be.
That's okay.
Soon.
It's all good,
and that's okay. We can work with it.
Yes.
About the way. I suppose it's we're looking forward so much. We can be. Some of us are looking forward a lot to coming back to worship services. And some of the things I think that people are going to be looking forward to is, among other things, getting together with other people and getting back into that routine and that habit of worshipping together, singing prayers, sitting down in maybe comfortable pews or perhaps some chairs, and hearing music, maybe hopefully listening to an engaging sermon, that's probably about it, I suppose. What do you think people are looking forward to?
Excuse me. I think one of the biggest things that people are looking forward to is being together, and that's a good thing, but it's also a problem, because we need to ask ourselves the question, as a worshiping community, why are we coming together? If we're coming together merely for the sake of coming together, well, then actually in Queensland, in the great state of Queensland right now, we can do that in people's homes. We can do that as private individuals. We can do that in so many different ways. No, the reason why we come together in worship is because of that latter part, and that's the operative component of that phrase, which is that we need to worship God. We need to worship Jesus. And so that is the biggest thing that I think people are missing right now, is that sense of togetherness and that sense of cohesion with their community as they worship together. But we really need to address the fact that as a church that really wants to reach missionally into the south side of Brisbane, our coming together has to be about a little bit more than just the times that we gather. It's also got to be about the ways in which we gather and the purpose that we have for gathering.
I think building on top of what you're saying there, Esteban, is often I think we can see the worship service as being our primary expression of being church, and so much so that we just refer to it as church. What did you do on Sunday? I went to church, and that kind of gets transferred over to our properties as well, our buildings. Where you go to a building and you refer to that building as a church as well. One thing that this COVID time, being away from both the building and the worship service, has challenged for us, and we've noticed this as a ministry team, is our understanding about what is church. And has church continued to exist even during this time when we haven't been able to meet in person for worship, and we haven't been able to come to a specific building that we've referred to as a church in the past? Has church continued to live? Yes, of course it has. Has it been in a state that is different to what we're used to? Yes. And that's something that we want to not lose, but that we want to take hold of and explore and even grow and become part of whatever the new normal is going to be. Now don't hear me say, oh, that means that we're going to have time off worship services again, and we're going to, we're going to line off the buildings, and so we can't access them. Not that, but the way we think about church, and in our imaginations of what church can be. What is the church? There's the song that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. Maybe some of you aren't. The church is not a building. The church is not a steeple. The steeple. The church is not a resting place. The church is a people. I'm the church. You're the church. We're the church together.
Yes.
It's a classic kids song. It was a song written and designed for children. But it's probably the adults that need to hear it.
Yeah.
Us who have been part of this church tradition for a very long time, that we need to really hear. And I think this has been a time when we can really hear that.
That's right. Absolutely. And with that comes this question, a question that we've received, which has been, if we have fortnightly services, if we have to get tickets for services, if we have online services, how can I invite my friends to come to church?
Yeah. How do you approach that in terms of because so that's a question that you've been asked. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think that's a great question.
Absolutely.
And I think that's we need to be thinking that way. But we also need to be thinking not just about how can we bring people to church. Again, it's about, to a service, to a building. But understanding church is something that we are,
yes.
You and I are. So how are you and I, how are we engaged in the life of Christ to the point that we see ourselves as church, meeting people, our friends, our family, our neighbors, whoever, everyone, that the church is engaging people in the world. So it's not just about bringing people to church, which is an important question, because at least we're thinking about other people. That's good, but we need to go another step from that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things as well is, as people are thinking, how do I bring friends to church? The question I always ask is, why? What's the thing that's attracting you to say, oh, my friend should have this in their life, and I want them to come to church for that? Or what's the thing that you think they need in their life that has to be that part of it? Mm-hmm. So now we are out of time. We've been talking for quite some time. And so what we might do is we might leave it there, but let's pose that question for now. Why is it that we invite our friends to church? Is it just because we want to see our pews get filled up with more people? Or is there something actually there that has attracted us and that we want to share with them? And what happens when we actually name that? How does that speak to who we are and the community we belong to?
Good questions. I like it. Look forward to that conversation.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That'll be good.
And we'll tackle that next week.
Next week. Yeah, we will. We will do that. So thanks for joining us this week for this conversation. We appreciate your time. Please leave a comment or a question, like, subscribe, all that kind of thing, please. That'd be wonderful. From us, thank you, and stay safe, particularly if you're interstate in New South Wales, in Victoria, perhaps in other parts of the world as well. Please stay safe. And on behalf of Esteban and myself, God bless you.
God bless.
Peace be with you.
Yep.
And Russell as well.
And Russell. Me, Hans.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Thanks.
All right, you had 10% on your phone.